Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Happy Thursday, everybody. A happy game day to you. Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. It is an absolutely gorgeous January day here in Peg City today. And you know what? It's a great day to end a 10-game losing streak. The Edmonton Oilers are in town tonight. I'm not sure that it's going to happen, but man, it sure would be nice. Even if you are resigned that this is maybe a bit of a lost season, just to try to get that black cloud off of this hockey team and get a win and get maybe a little bit of a good feeling around the club today. I'm really looking forward to this game tonight. Obviously, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, two of the best players in the world coming in. The Oilers are always a good draw and definitely worth your time watching. And I'm excited to see Danny Zhilkin make his NHL debut tonight. He is going to be in the lineup. We will hear from Danny in just a couple minutes. Spoke after the morning skate today, and as you can imagine, very excited to make his NHL debut. And to be honest, this is exactly what I think this team needs right now. I mean, regardless of how you feel about what's realistic in the final half of the season, a little bit of youthful energy and excitement for a team that's been struggling the way they have, I think can go a long way. And he's going to get a chance to skate in the bigs for the first time. I also think this is a great message to the other younger players with the Manitoba Moose in that, you know, as we'll get to it, we're already starting to hear trade bait boards, and needless to say, with the situation in Winnipeg is very much a team people are paying attention to. I think this will be something that, you know, the young top prospects of the Winnipeg Jets that didn't get the call up, hello, Brad Lambert, Chibrikov, Parker Ford, Colby Barlow, Braden Yeager, can see a young guy that's really made the most of his season so far, getting a chance to play in the NHL tonight. And so, I mean, all that's part of tonight's matchup against the Edmonton Oilers. We'll get to the clean lines, a couple of interesting roster moves for the Jets tonight. And coming up, first up on the program, we're going to holler at Jason Strudwick and get Struddy on the horn. We'll certainly get the latest on the Edmonton Oilers. But I also want to talk to Jason and get his perspective on just what this Jets team is going through. Struddy, of course, was a mainstay on the Oilers through the decade of darkness, knows a thing or two about seasons that have gone completely off the rails. So he's going to join us coming up. We'll also have Brandon Rewucki, and we've got lots of Jets audio to dive into. Danny Zhilkin, head coach Scott Arniel, a little bit of Jonathan Taves, and later on we will get to Kevin Cheveldayoff from his sit-down with Sarah Orlesky on Tuesday that we didn't have time to get in yesterday. So lots of Jets talk, and we're actually going to talk a little curling today as well. John Cullen, one of our favorites, Cullen on curling, is here in Manitoba with the Grand Slam, which is underway out at the beautiful new facility in Steinbach. So we'll head out to Steinbach and talk to John Cullen a little later on. We'll hit the Coolbet lines. Busy night in the National Hockey League. Speaking of Steinbach, shout out to Steinbach's second manliest man as voted on by the people of Steinbach a few years ago. Our pal the Gitch was on fire last night in the poker tourney, qualified for the second time. A top 4 finish last night. Also want to shout out to Derek, YWG, Sagliotis, I believe. I might be butchering that. I apologize. The Gitch, and who was the other one that got in? I don't think it was AP's Fire Alarm. I'm not sure who decided that would be their poker name, but that's obviously a longtime WST listener. So shout out to everyone.
You're AP.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I mean, I have had some fire alarm mishaps on this show over the course of the last number of years. So I figured that was somewhat of a reference to some incidents on WST in the past. But congratulations to everyone that qualified for next Monday's final for the Costa Rica trip. It's going to be a lot of fun. Appreciate everyone that played. And listen, the opportunity to win tickets for the Costa Rica tourney has passed, but we will certainly continue cranking out a game of the month, maybe even a couple, as we get through the rest of the season. So well done, everyone that was joining us last night. Listen, just going to get in, Remis. We got lots to talk about right off the top of the show today, but do want to thank all the sponsors that make WST happen each and every day. Of course, our partners in Coolbet. Coolbet now, for our Francophone friends, now fully available in French, in case you didn't know that. The Winnipeg Jets, we are doing a game tomorrow night. Still chance to join us in the WST section. Your ticket will include a beverage of your choice. I know they have moved the après-ski promo to March, unfortunately, but Jets Kings tomorrow, kicking off the weekend. Go to winnipegjets.com/WST, grab a ticket, and we'll see you up in the 300s tomorrow night. Of course, our friends at Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports. We'll crank out a Chud's Power Sports power poll a little later on for the top teams in the NHL. Our friends at Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. We've got some new look Clean Line lines, or some changes to the lines, I guess I should say, for tonight's game. Also, Rolly's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, Canadian Club, Uptown Alley, Manitoba Battery, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug, and we will get to a why not question of the day for Not AutoCorp over at Waverly and McGillivray. Michael Remis, what is going on, my friend?
Feeling good. What great weather here for January. Hit up the ODR last night. A lot of people out there doing activities. My dad was at Spring Hill. Said a ton of people there as well. So enjoying this
Spring Hill.
Yeah, people are going out.
Doing a little shredding out there.
My dad, yeah, he's testing out the slopes, getting ready for a big ski trip coming up. So, yeah, exciting times for the outdoor activity. Last year, we said this. We were tobogganing December 31. It was decent. I think it was freezing for 2 months. Didn't go outside. So we're enjoying this ODR weather right now.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I mean, it is beautiful outside. I think it's going to get a little colder this afternoon, but I went out to the launch of the St. B Mega Millions Lottery, which we'll be partnering up with them. Great to see. Real media who's who, Remo. All our old friends from the radio business. GMAC, Greg Mackling, did a great job of hosting the festivities. And, Bob Irving spoke today. And, I'd known that Bob had some time in St. B over, some recent years. I didn't realize that he had heart issues dating back to when he was 18 years old. And he went down the list of procedures and things that he's dealt with through the hospital over the years. And anyways, it was something to behold. We're going to have Bob on the show next week, actually, kind of help kick off, and we'll get his thoughts on the Bombers heading into free agency as well. Listen, the Jets topic, everyone wanted to talk to me about the Jets there. And listen, that's no different. I mean, pretty much if you're a sports fan or even a Winnipegger, a casual fan, this losing streak in the season has been top of mind of everyone. But whole bunch of our old pals. Chris J was there, Reem, Mark and Dilly. Yeah, some of our old homies from the old spot on Pembina. So it was great to see everyone, and we're looking forward to working with them. But I just thought as I drove out there and got out of the car and walked into one of the beautiful show homes that will be up for grabs in the Mega Millions lottery, is that, like, what a gorgeous day it was. It's a lot different traveling across the city at minus 25 in early January than it is when, it's pushing zero or even above zero right now. And everyone seemed to be in a great mood because of that. And I'll tell you what, I looked at, coming back from Vegas on the weekend, I looked at the forecast. I'm like, oh my God, this is so glorious. We really do need it. I mean, this is a city where people, honestly, even though we know what's coming, we get affected by the deep, deep freeze. And the deep freeze, unfortunately, has affected the hockey club with 10 straight losses. But everyone's, I think, a little bit more positive and upbeat when the weather's like this right now. So as you did last night, folks, get out and enjoy it. And of course, you got an opportunity to see Connor McDavid one more time in Canada Life Center this year tonight with the 7:30 puck drop. Hey, just before we dive into tonight's game, did you see the scene last night in the St. Louis-Chicago game with Jordan Binnington and Joel Hofer?
So what? Jordan Binnington gave up a ton of goals to the Blackhawks.
7, to be exact.
7, thank you.
Not quite Jacob Markstrom, but close.
Not quite. Montgomery goes to pull him, doesn't want to come out of the net, and he also can't find Joel Hofer, who's hiding behind like a wall there, poking out. And like the Blues have had a pretty rough season. You have to wonder, did the Jets break the Blues from that Game 7 victory and comeback?
Well, listen, that was that's what I was pitching for the first 5-6 weeks of the season. Mm-hmm. Now the question is, did that 7-game war between those two teams break them both?
The Jets gave Dallas a run, and if there wasn't for some kick puck, maybe we're here talking about Jets advancing or forcing a Game 7 there. But that was a crazy series, and I don't know what's going on with Binnington this year. It's not going well, and you do wonder, is he going to see the net for Team Canada? How do you put him in after his performance in the NHL this year?
Yeah, he's dead last in goals saved above, or in his case, below expected this year. Gave up 7 yesterday, big crooked number on 35 shots, 28 saves. I was just talking about it on the Lock Shop with Dusty. I mean, they can't. Yeah, there's Hofer on that shot. Incredible work by whatever TV broadcast crew was able to get that thing. There's Hofer peeking around the corner, seeing if the coast is clear. He's a Winnipeg guy. I've never met or spoken with Joel, but I would love to get a chance, maybe at a golf course or something, on a patio after a round, to ask him what it's like being the tag team, the tandem mate of Jordan Binnington, and especially get the behind-the-scenes story of last night's game. Yeah, the Blues got ripped by the Blackhawks last night. Your final score, 7-3 in favor of the Blackhawks, and Chicago actually ahead of St. Louis right now. Blues are 2 games under 500. Blackhawks get back to 500. Elsewhere in the Central, the Mammoth beat the Sens. They're 1 game above 500. Sharks get a big OT win over the Kings. They're 4 above 500. And, the Dallas Stars broke their 6-game losing streak in Washington against the Caps. So as we go into the action tonight in the NHL, looking at the Western Conference and the wild card spot, the Jets are 11 points out of the final wild card spot, held by the Kings, with the Ducks, Mammoth, Blackhawks, Predators, Blues, Flames, and Canucks all ahead of them in the NHL standings. But tonight, we're going to see the debut of Danny Zhilkin, who obviously very excited that he's going to get a chance to put on that Winnipeg Jet jersey and skate in the bigs for the first time.
Yeah, congratulations to him on getting the call in the NHL. We started the season at the prospects camp. He was shot out of a cannon. He was a standout player there, skating, improved, and he's already passed career highs with the Moose through only 30 games. He's got 14 points, passing his career high of 10 in 53 last season. So the Jets opting, one, Hayden Fleury was injured. He's put on IR, so they called up Zhilkin. And today the lineup changes. Nemesnikov out, healthy scratch. Gus Nyquist, healthy scratch. So you have Danny Zhilkin on the 4th line with Cole Koepke and Tanner Pearson. I'd like to see them bring some speed. And this team, shut out Connor McDavid on a goalie last time they played in the loss. He only got his point on the empty netter. And it's going to be up to everyone to, keep the Oilers off the score sheet, Huss. What is it? Power play. Oilers best in the league. Jets penalty kill 25th. That's a matchup to watch out for.
Yeah, listen, while we're at it, let's just get right to the clean line lines for what we're expecting tonight with Danny Zhilkin's NHL debut this evening for the Winnipeg Jets. As always, the lines are brought to you by Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, your local leader for over 40 years and the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets, captain approved. Check them online at cleanline.ca. Connor Scheifele, Iafallo, Perfetti, Taves, Velarde. I thought that line had actually had a pretty good game against Vegas, all in all. Barron Lowry and Nito Niederreiter. And the debuting Danny Zhilkin is going to play in the middle with Cole Koepke and Tanner Pearson at forward. The defense, Morrissey Pionk, Stanley DeMello, Samberg DeMello, Big Stan, and Big Shen. And interesting that the Jets' third pair defense, Logan Stanley and Luke Shen, both find themselves on Chris Johnson's trade board. We'll talk about that a little bit later on after Strudwick joins us about some Jets that are emerging onto trade bait boards and what is being said around the league. It is funny, Reem. I just saw Darren Dreger on Ray and Dregs was talking. They're talking about the Jets right now. I know you were on Daily Faceoff today with Carter Hutton and Tyler Yaremchuk, and they're asking, oh, wow, what the heck's going on with the Jets? And it seemed like people just thought, oh, they're in a bit of a slump. I mean, people didn't realize how bad it's got when it comes to the record right now for Winnipeg. And I think the Jets really dodged a bullet when it came to maybe the spotlight in the middle of this ugly run that they're on because of the scheduling of last week. Of course, they played in Detroit on New Year's Eve and then rolled into Toronto. And usually Toronto, where so much of the national media is, that is when you'll get the tough questions. The national guys will be there. What's going on? Well, it was New Year's Day. And it was a quick turnaround from last night's game, from the game the night before. So, I mean, a lot of the conversations that you would have expected about a Canadian team in the midst of the slump that they are in kind of got missed. Well, now people are talking about it. And a big reason for that is that, it will be selling time at some point, if not already, for the Winnipeg Jets. And we're going to be starting to gauge what we're hearing on the value of some of these players with some of the insiders over the course of the next little while. We will touch on that coming up. But tonight, Danny Zhilkin getting into the lineup for the first time. He spoke this morning after the morning skate. Here's Danny Zhilkin on getting the call up to the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, well, I worked really hard, this past summer, and just tried to show up every day. I had a few tough seasons with the Moose, obviously, and just being hurt a couple times. So just try to keep positive, play hard as I can, and yeah, when I got the call, obviously, dream come true.
Did it all start in Montreal at that Prospects game? Because or the tournament rather, it looked like you were just a cut above the rest in that, and did that kind of set the table?
Yeah, maybe it just gave me a little bit, confidence coming into the season. I think just every game, try to play, better and better. And, the coaching staff with the Moose helped me a lot in the past couple of years, and especially this year. So, yeah, I just try to carry that confidence into every single game.
All right, so there's Danny Zhilkin. Let us know in the chat whether you heard that. It kind of cut out for me. Just want to make sure
they got it. I was getting ready for Jason, and it messed up for you.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay, awesome. No problem at all. He did say, he has had a couple of tough seasons since turning pro, but from all accounts, he was one of the guys that stood out in the prospects tourney, the camp. And now has got the call up. Here's Zhilkin a little bit more with just the emotions of getting the call.
Yeah, I don't think it's really sunken in yet, So, just being out there in the morning skate and, coming out of the other door and not the moose size is pretty special. So, yeah.
What's the size of the Zhilkin entourage approximately going to be tonight?
Well, not going to lie, tonight's just going to be my girlfriend because my dad's coming in from Moscow, but he lands at 10:30, so he's just going to miss it. Somebody was joking, pull a few fire alarms. Maybe it'll go into overtime or something. But, yeah, just my girlfriend here tonight.
Right, so Danny Zhilkin's girlfriend it will be in attendance, and presumably, hopefully he's in there tomorrow night as well. And the old man, after a long international flight, will be able to see the kid in the show. Here he is on actually getting the phone call to let him know that he was getting call up.
It was Mark Morrison. I was actually sitting in a barber chair and I missed his first phone call because I was getting a haircut. And then, I was getting up to pay and he called me again. And just overwhelmed with emotion and just started crying while paying for my haircut. It was great, yeah.
Who got the next call?
It was my parents for sure. Yeah, my parents actually declined my call first. I don't know why, but but my parents were the first to find out.
You explained to the barber why you were crying, though, right?
Yeah, for sure. They were super excited for me there. It was a great experience.
Well, listen, he got a fresh cut and a call up to the NHL. Give a shout out to that barber. Maybe he's got some sort of a magic chair. You go there, you sit into it, you get a nice look, a fade, and then next thing you know, a big promotion in your professional career. Here's Zhilkin on if you got any advice about his big night tonight.
Morgan Klimchuk, the assistant coach with the Moose, he said, take a moment and warm up, take it, soak it all in. You only get one NHL debut, so hoping to go out there, have fun, and work hard.
What excites you the most?
Playing against Connor McDavid, I think that's pretty special debut for sure.
What was that call like with your folks?
Oh, it was awesome. They worked so hard for my siblings and I, and just to move over here from Russia at the age when I was 9 years old, and they left everything over there. It was super emotional, and very thankful.
All right. Now, that was a real cool little scrum there with Danny Zhilkin. And as I said right off the top, with everything that's happened so far this season and where the team's at and the 10-game streak, this sort of a good feeling, I think, is exactly what the team needs. And, we'll see how things go tonight when they take on a pretty much of a juggernaut, although they haven't seen that way throughout the season in the back-to-back Western Conference champion Edmonton Oilers. We're going to check in with Jason Strudwick in a minute. We do have Scott Arniel, Jonathan Taves, and more. Brandon Rewucki is going to join us. But hey, got to shout out our friends at Uptown Alley. Both myself and Michael Remis spent some time at Uptown Alley over the course of the holidays. I went with a few of my buddies. Remo did a little bit more of a family event, and this is the sort of spot that is just a phenomenal outing for people that like to have fun of all ages. You got 5-pin bowling, 10-pin bowling, an unbelievable arcade, real fun games where you can win tickets and exchange them for prizes to take home, and amazing food and beverage. If you're thinking about doing a birthday party for kids, teens, or adults, you can give them a buzz at 488-0000 and make arrangements for that. Also a great spot for group and corporate outings where you just pick your activities, pick what you want to eat, any add-ons, and their event staff will take care of everything else. So really appreciate the support we get from our friends at Uptown Alley. Go to uptownalley.ca for more and pop down during the winter and make the most of time there. Outside of today, usually a little bit more fun time spending inside as opposed to outside. Of course, they're at 1301 St. Matthews Avenue. We are now officially into the new year. I think the Happy New Years are done, but many people are making plans, big plans for 2026, and that might include moving. If you are moving, give our pals a call at Roley's Transfer. Family owned and operated for over 60 years and the most trusted name in moving and storage in Manitoba. You can find out everything about their services and options at their great website at roleys.com. You'll also want to click on Request an Estimate for your upcoming move and put in the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. And then let them know when and where you're moving and what needs to be moved. And the friendly staff at Roley's will turn it around real quick and get you a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove service and treatment that Rolly's customers have been enjoying for more than 60 years. For all your moving needs, make it Rolly's, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more today at Rollys.com. It is 2026 now, and many people will be making New Year's resolutions or realize there might be something that you'd neglected. Take it from me as someone that went way too long from going to the dentist. That can blow up in your face, and it can really create a lot more time in the dentist chair. Now, I will say, I love going to St. Patel Dental Center because I get to chop it up with my pal Dr. Terry and his wonderful staff. But if you have been negligent of seeing the dentist, I would suggest you do it to avoid more visits in the future. St. Patel Dental Center is the place to do it. They've been serving generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans out in St. Patel. And they've got a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's Road with convenient free parking right behind the building. Get online to stpateldental.ca. Make an appointment. Pop in, see Dr. Terry. He'll take good care of you. And then you can avoid emergency visits to the dentist like yours truly had to. Embarrassingly, but my pain can be your gain in the long run. And hey, cheers to our friends at Canadian Club. Of course, Canadian Club, the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Nice days like this get me start thinking about spring and start thinking about Bomber season. But right now, when I think Canadian Club, I think, geez, can I still get my hands on some of that limited edition Canadian Club Cranberry Ginger Ale that so many of us were loving during the holidays? There still is some remaining stock available, so grab it while it is there. Your local Manitoba liquor marts and your local beer vendors available in 473 milliliter cans. The great taste of Canada's iconic Canadian whiskey, Canadian Club, along with cranberry and ginger ale. The rave reviews keep coming in. Grab it if you haven't tried it today. All right, we're going to make a quick call. Struddy's a busy guy, so we're going to get him on the horn. Our setup is a little different, so I will just wait to hear the ring, and Remo can let me know that Jason Strudwick is good to go. Of course, Jason is one of the great guests that are often on Overdrive with the fellas in TO. But when you think about Jason Strudwick's career, a few years with the Edmonton Oilers during some dark seasons, played with the Vancouver Canucks for a long period of time. And let's face it, not that he would love to focus on this, but there were some lean years where wasn't a lot of playoffs. And I think he's probably got a pretty good perspective on what the Winnipeg Jets are dealing with right now, although maybe not on such talented teams. Struddy, it's Hustler at Winnipeg Sports Talk. How are you, my friend?
I'm great. How are you doing, more importantly? Hanging in there? Tough stretch for the home team.
Aye, dude. You are not kidding. It's kind of funny. I was just saying to Remis as we picked up the phone to give you a holler. And maybe, listen, the Jets, obviously a much smaller market. It's like people didn't really notice what had been happening over the last month. And, they went into Toronto last week playing on New Year's Eve in Detroit. And then the Toronto game was New Year's Day. So obviously people are busy, people are off. It seemed like it sort of evaded the national media a little bit. But now, having lost 10 games in a row, 11 games out of a playoff spot, the gig is up, and now people around the league are talking about this team and what the heck is going on. So we're getting a few more calls to jump on other shows and people asking questions. Let me just ask you. I mean, we were saying before, you had a great long career in the National Hockey League, but unfortunately played in some pretty long seasons. When you look at the Winnipeg Jets right now, with all the talent that they have and losing, they're showing up for games. This team hasn't quit. They lose by 1 goal every single night. How do you wrap your head around just how far this team won the President's Trophy last year, Struddy?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. You know, when I last year around this time, I made a statement that I don't think there's ever been more talent spread across Canadian teams. And now you look at Calgary, Winnipeg, and Vancouver are the 3 bottom teams in the league. I mean, it's insane, right? And the Winnipeg was such a good team last year, and now here we are talking about the trouble they've had. And I did play on bad teams. The difference is I knew going into the year we weren't very good. We would have to fight for our lives to maybe fight for a playoff spot, not even guaranteed playoff spot. This team, I didn't see this type of drop-off happening. You know, it's really, really surprising now. Are they as good as they maybe were a couple of years ago? I don't know. Maybe you could debate it compared to last year. They maybe lost a little bit of tempo with some of the guys that walked out the door. But, you know, I think they're maybe hoping a guy like Perfetti would maybe take another step. But I know he's missed some games. You know, you take a look at a guy like Nemestikov. Maybe his game's fallen off a bit. Maybe a little bit heavier feet on the back end, especially towards the bottom of that 6-man group. So, but all that shouldn't matter that much where it takes you from 1 to 32. Like, that is a massive change. So that's really, it's really surprising. And I can only imagine how the coaching staff, the players, and even the management are feeling right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's I don't want to say a sense of defeat, but there's a sense of like Murphy's Law. I mean, it's every game. It's like there's one play, one turnover, one giveaway, one bad break that turns what could be a win into a loss. And listen, they were on the right side of a lot of those close games last year. There's no doubt, but it's almost like there's an invoice being cashed in for all those wins last year, and they are really, really going through it last year. But it is incredible. I mean, you know, it's one thing to in today's National Hockey League to be out of the playoffs and to be a struggling team, but this team has one of the best goaltenders in the world, a top line that will rival most top lines around the National Hockey League, a true elite number 1 defenseman in Josh Morrissey. Those are not usually the characteristics of teams you see hanging around the bottom of the standings.
Yes. So the rest those ingredients you just talked about are usually at least a recipe for a playoff spot, because that group will, you know, do enough on most nights to carry you over the top to get you the requisite number of wins to get in the playoffs. But it's insane. Like I remember, when did Winnipeg play the Oilers? It was a number, was it 2 weeks ago or so, somewhere in there?
Yeah, 29th of December.
I remember thinking, yeah, so there you go. So maybe not 2 weeks. I thought they played well. You know, I thought the Oilers goaltender probably, you know, did a lot more than the players did to make sure that maybe it didn't quite go their way. And I thought, okay, Winnipeg's going to come out of this, and here we are still talking about it. You know, when I watch the Jets, it feels like they're trying to sort out after the top line, right? And they're not alone. There's other teams that are trying to sort out their second line center, trying to figure out how that fits together. Even the Oilers are trying to figure out their third and fourth lines right now, specifically the third line. But, you know, I think I heard the messaging from the top of the brass and all that just a short time ago. And I think they're really trying to just say, okay, we're better than we've shown. They are for sure. Are there some issues? Yeah. But we're better than last place. The problem is, you know, time's ticking away a little bit. You know, it's one thing to be 2-3 points out of the playoffs and not many people in front of you. Well, they have a long ways to go. They have a very, very strong division where, you know, three of those teams are really hard outs to grab points off of.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that game against Edmonton was now listen, they haven't doubled up their opponents in shots most nights like they did that night. But the one thing I'll say about this team is they have not quit at all. Like, this isn't a team that's not showing up for games. This isn't a team that is not listening to their coaches. I mean, you know, it's like they are the embodiment right now of Murphy's Law. But to your point, we're now into the second half of the season. They're 11 out of a playoff spot with 7 teams to jump over. I mean, the chances of them actually doing that are so small that you get into the point. And I mean, honestly, listening to Luke Shen speak after the game and even Scott Arniel, while they're not openly throwing up the white flag, I think that this 10-game losing streak at a time where they needed to be on a 10-game winning streak has really sort of, if not, I mean, these guys aren't dumb. They understand how the standings work. There is a little bit of a resignation that, their opportunity this year may have really passed it. But, I want to ask you about the inner workings of a team because, I mean, Scheifele and Connor are still, elite players and they're scoring. And, Josh Morrissey's getting ready to go to the Olympics, as is Connor Hellebuck. But that secondary part of the roster, really below those players, there's not one guy that you could say has really, exceeded expectations for the most part. Maybe I'm missing one guy. But everyone, I think, feels like they're skating in quicksand a little bit. How tough is it on the non-star players, if you will, who are, among so much of the conversation as to what is going wrong and why the team is where they are right now? That can't be easy.
No, it's not easy. And, whether you're the second line center or the seventh defenseman, you feel responsible for where your team's at. At least you should feel responsible because, you've got to bring it out. So I think the hardest thing when I was on losing streaks, and I'll be honest, most of the time when my team was on losing streaks, I was playing great. but the thing is that you've got to find a way to create energy. And I know that's, they make $1 million, then they're professional athletes. I get it. But they're humans, right? They're not machines. So how do you create energy out of something that is just going so wrong? I saw Adam Lowry the other night fight Colasar after that hit or the incident that left Fleury coming off on a stretcher. That can create some energy for your team, but it can't just be a fight. It starts in the morning skate. It starts even on the way to the rink, maybe a group chat, guys going for dinner together, just anything to get some positive mojo going in your group. Because right now it's like there's a rain cloud over your head every day. You're like Ehor. Every day is just not going right. And it wears on you. It really does. And it sucks the life out of you as an individual and you as a group. So you got to find a way to get that energy going. And, I wish I could tell you the secret formula to do that. If it was, I'd probably be a head coach right now talking to you about my NHL head team or my NHL team. But finding that energy is so important. And it'll take a little while, especially when you're where you're at. I had a coach once say, when you're in a hole, stop digging. And that's kind of a true story. You've got to just find a way to just stop and try to start building again. But you're right, when you look ahead or look above you, and you see all those teams you have to pass and how hard it's going to be, that makes for some pretty hard thoughts when you're by yourself in the middle of the night putting your head on your big pillow.
Yeah, you mentioned just how difficult it is in the midst of a streak like this to get a good feeling around. I think the team and the GM, over the course of this past month, watching this happen, have been sort of paralyzed to do anything about it. I think the moves that they would have liked to make for the players that came in the offseason that haven't worked out, I don't think there's really been any market for them. They have been loath to put any of those players on waivers to bring somebody up. Obviously, the injury to Hayden Fleury was really scary, and the great news is he's out of hospital. He was with the team yesterday at the team meeting. But that did give them an opportunity, not that there wasn't an opportunity before, but just without putting somebody on waivers, to call someone up from the Moose. And tonight, Danny Zhilkin, third rounder from about 3 years ago, who had a couple tough seasons, last couple with injuries, has really come in, made a great impression early on in training camp, has had a strong season. He's getting the call up tonight, and he's making his NHL debut. For a veteran team like the Jets that's struggling, what can a bit of new blood and an excited young player do in the room, just even for one game in the short term when you're in the middle of something as miserable as this team's going through right now?
So an NHL player, they all have the same things. Their first NHL game, and it's so special. You dream about it. When you're outside playing street hockey your whole life, you're thinking about what it'd be like to skate on that rink. Now they have the rookie lap. It's very special. And I always got, not emotional, but I got extra energy seeing that because these kids would be vibrating. Their mom and dad were there, maybe their girlfriend or whatever the case may be, or whatever family, friends would fly in, and it was so exciting. I loved being around them. I would try to, be close to them maybe for the morning skates and talking to them, and then even lunchtime, spending time with them just to get that energy, because it only happens one time. It only happens one time. Ovi's going to score 1,000 goals, and they're all cool, but the first one I still think is the one that is so special. So that first game, that first goal. So I hope that this team is able to get a little energy out of this and find a way to kind of just sink a little bit of that into you, because, you kind of outlined, it's not like they're playing horrible, but they need to find a way to get over the hump. And unfortunately, it could be against the Oilers tonight. If you're an Oilers fan, that's not ideal.
Yeah, well, I mean, they'll take anything. And I think the Jets sort of feel like they owe the Oilers one for that game a couple of weeks ago that we talked about,
sure,
where they doubled them in shots and just couldn't score. And I mean, again, just sort of another example of how things have gone wrong for Winnipeg so far this year. To the visitors we go. The Oilers right now are tied with the Vegas Golden Knights for first in the Pacific. That being said, it's a far cry from what you'd need to be first in any of the other divisions. It has really been lean. And Vegas, I mean, they snuck out that win in Winnipeg on Tuesday night. They had only won one of their last 9. The Oilers had a slow start. They're back to where we expect them to be. But even in that game we saw, they didn't look particularly good. I mean, what's going on with Edmonton right now, and what are the big issues or topics around the team? Because it kind of seems like Connor McDavid is vintage Connor McDavid right now, is like scoring 2, 3, 4 a night, but they're not getting a lot from some other guys that they've been counting on this year to make differences.
Yeah, so first off, I think that this team has the governor on at times, especially to start the year. Going twice to the finals and losing, I can't imagine the emotional toll that would take on you. And to get up for a game on Tuesday in Columbus would be difficult. I think we've seen a better version of them in December, and since the break, it's kind of gone down. Now, a couple issues have happened. Their off-season signings in Mangiapane and Trent Frederick haven't worked out. Mangiapane, it sounds like they're going to try to move him. Trent Frederick signed for 8 years, so they've got to work with him to find his game, because he's just not himself at all. And I saw him play in Boston. He's a capable, energetic player who skates pretty well. We haven't seen that from him at all. So that leads me to the third line. There hasn't been a third line for the Oilers. In reality, most nights, the Oilers have 2 first lines and 2 fourth lines. They don't have a third line. Last game, we saw a youngish line. Jack Roslovic, who Winnipeg Jets fans will know, played center because Henrique got out with an injury. Then they put Savoy on his right wing and a young call-up, Isaac Howard, on the left wing. Now, that line, I think, is offensively going to do a lot of damage. Defensively, it might also do some damage, but to the Oilers. So I think that, that's not ideal, right? They're going to help both teams score. But they need to find a third line. Now, with Frederick out and Mangiapane out, you had Janmark, Lazar, and that adds a lot. The team looked faster against Nashville, and I think they've got to play fast. That's what Stan Bowman wants. But, between the governor, the misfires on some of their signings, and the lack of a third line, I think it's made it difficult for this group to really kind of be where they thought they would be, which should be top 5 in the league. Probably be a fair where they should be.
Absolutely. I mean, with that much talent and, the expectations going into this season, I mean, it really is sort of Stanley Cup or bust. And when you've got Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, I mean, it makes sense. It's funny you mentioned that because, when you look at Winnipeg, I mean, they lost Ehlers and Mason Appleton, although sometimes was a bit of a lightning rod around here, was a valuable member of a really effective third line. They added Gustav Nyquist, 0 goals through half the season. Tanner Pearson hasn't done much. Cole Koepke has been in and out of the lineup, has been fine actually for the role that he's looked at. And obviously Jonathan Toews came with high hopes. It's taken a while. He's playing better lately, but they haven't gotten anywhere close to what I think they believed they would be when they signed those players. I have to ask you about the Frederick situation in particular. I was just on with Dusty with our show on EST before we got going on here, and we were talking about Frederick, and Frederick has played 41 games, has 2 goals and 1 assist. And this is a guy that they acquired at the deadline, was hurt, didn't do much in the playoffs, and then got an 8-year deal at 4 per with a full no move. Like, those sort of struggles in year one of an 8-year deal. It's a very different conversation than a guy that you signed at the end of his career to come in and hopefully squeeze a little bit out of him on a 1-year deal. I mean, how problematic is that moving forward for the player, but also for the team and the GM?
Yeah, it's not a good look. And, like, I'm going to be honest, I'm very pro Trent Frederick. My thought was he'd be able to be, if not the third-line center, he'd be a big body on that third line. And really, if I think back to when he was with Boston playing with not Charlie McAvoy, but Charlie Coyle, and they were a duo on that third line in Boston. It was pretty effective third line. But, I'm not sure if his ankle injury is still challenging him. I mean, I've had twice I did that in my career, and it took a whole calendar year for it to feel better. And it takes a long time, especially for a big human, to get that body working around. So I do have patience for him. But, for him, I mean, they started him with Connor and Leon, and I was like, oh, boy, that's not a good place to start. Like, that's not his game. It's not Jack Roslovic or maybe a Savoy who can think the game at that speed. You're almost setting him up to fail. Then since then, he's been trying to find a home. So he sat out. I'm guessing he's probably going to play tonight. I've been at an event for the Oilers, so I haven't had a chance to check, but I'm guessing he'll be the one going in. And if he is, he's playing beside Yanmark Lazar. Those are his type of people. They're going to work hard. Curtis Lazar's got the best attitude. He's great for being in the NHL, but he plays hard. He brings energy. And that's how Frederick has to play. I think he has to be reminded of that and start feeling like he's getting some wins. I feel like the last couple of games we're starting to see him hold the puck more and, rag it a bit and be heavy in the offensive zone, win puck battles. That's kind of his game. But unfortunately, the track record before that's been pretty dicey. So I don't think you can move that contract. So the coaching staff has to find a way to get him feel good about himself again, but that's a long road out. You talk about a team that's the Jets has lost 10 in a row, where this guy probably feels like he's losing all the time. And then the mental part of it, it's a $32 million contract. That weighs on a player as well. You change the expectations of yourself, but you're signed for the player you are, not for the one they want you to be. This is who you are. He was fine enough before to do what he wanted. So, yeah, this is a real. I think Mangiapane, they can probably sidestep that contract, but this one with Trent Frederick, they have to help him play out of it to be a success.
Hey, Struddy, before we go, I mean, usually we're talking about goaltending at Edmonton, and they made the Skinner for Jarry trade. Jarry's out now. Pickard sure looked good in his hometown against the Jets, and we'll see him again tonight. Where's the level of concern, to use an overdriveism, about the level of goaltending the Oilers have right now and will have going into the playoffs?
Well, I mean, it hinges on Jarry, right? He's the big guy. They come in, they get contract stability with him coming in. They know their number, all that stuff, and you want to be healthy. So he started okay here and then gets hurt. The Ingram thing is a real wild card for me. We know what he has done in the past. Utah had to leave the NHL to get assistance to deal with some stuff that had nothing to do with on the ice. And it sounds like he's kind of find his zen. He's gotten the help he required. And then Pickard. So the problem is this. I think I would, in a perfect world, I'm thinking it's probably Ingram Jarry, but you can't risk losing Pickard. You need 3 goalies. And after that, it gets a little bit thin with a guy named Tompkins, who doesn't have a lot of NHL experience. So do you have to carry 3 around? 3 goalies, and 3 goalies doesn't work. That is a non-starter for goalies. But you may have to because you're worried about losing him until you can maybe extend your roster a bit. So I feel pretty comfortable with Jarry when healthy, but I'd feel very uncomfortable if they were to lose Pickard or Ingram to waivers.
Struddy, you're the man. Thanks so much for doing this. Enjoyed the conversation, as always. Should be a fun one tonight. Always is when the 2 Canadian teams go at it. Final matchup of the year between the Jets and Oilers. Have a great day. Enjoy this one tonight, and all the best. We'll hopefully catch up again soon.
Thanks, Mike. Talk soon.
You got it. There is the one and only Jason Strudwick. You can check him out with Ryan Rashog on the Got Your Back podcast. And when we're lucky, we see him jumping on with Hayes and O-Dog and the fellows over on Overdrive. All right, we're going to get back to the Jets. Some interesting names floating in and around on some of the trade boards that have been released by some of the NHL insiders. But we heard from Danny Zhilkin, who's going to make his NHL debut tonight. Let's hear from Coach Scott Arniel, who was asked right off the bat about getting some young blood into the lineup and his thoughts on Danny Zhilkin's call-up and insertion into the lineup tonight.
Yeah, I mean, as we've been talking about recently, we haven't really been able to make a move. Obviously, unfortunate that Fleur got hurt. Give us a chance. We talked to the coaches in Manitoba with the Moose, and this was the number one name. And he's a guy that I saw down in Montreal. Went down to watch the rookie tournament. He was one of the best players on the ice in training camp for us. The games he played, the practices, his detail. That's probably the biggest thing that he's recognized. I know it's his third year, and he's really recognized that it's more than just scoring goals, or it's more than just being a one-way player. He's really taken it on to be good in all areas and having thinking the game and recognizing that he has to do certain things every night to be successful.
All right, so there's Scott Arniel on Danny Zhilkin getting the call up and getting into the lineup tonight. We went through the clean lines of how the 5-on-5 lines are looking. One other change for tonight is a tweak to the Jets' number one power play, and it is the addition of Jonathan Toews to that group. Toews with the beautiful setup to Perfetti last game, has 4 assists in his last 6 games. He will join the mainstays, Scheifele, Morrissey, Connor, and Velarde on the Jets' PP1 unit. Here's Arnie on that decision to get JT in with the top power play.
Yeah, I mean, I can't stay still here. We got to try stuff. I mean, it's turning over stones, trying to find something. I mean, it's, whether it's, Danny coming in the lineup, guys going out, whether it's on those specialty teams, JT, we've never gone down this road with JT. The one avenue for us that it does open up is it opens up his face-off ability, being on the left-hand side, and then looking at kind of how Edmonton goes with who comes over the boards first for them. A little bit playing into it that way. So, I mean, he's a guy that's, like I mentioned the other night there, his game's starting to, trending in the right direction the last 5 or 6 games, and, we're looking for a little bit of a spark, and he's got some great experience, obviously, over the years playing in power plays, and hopefully that'll help them.
All right, Remo, just let's get this flipped to for 8 here for a minute. With Zhilkin and Koepke coming into the lineup, 2 guys got to come out, and that is 2 veterans in Vlad Nemetsnikov and Gustav Nyquist, who have been both, not that they don't have company, but have been in extended slumps. Arniel was asked about his conversations with Vlad and Nyquist about not being in the lineup tonight.
It's the worst part of being a head coach. It really is. Having to tell the player that he's not playing. It sucks. I hate doing it. But this isn't out of the blue. We've been talking for 2 months. We've been talking for the last couple of weeks. This isn't something that anybody that came out of the left field on. They all know that this is we need results. It's a result-driven business, and this is an opportunity, for somebody else to come in the lineup in Danny, and it's also for Cole as well. Cole Koepke to come in, his speed against Edmonton's speed. So there's some factors that played in it that way. But at the end of the day, it's just, and believe me, I got the utmost respect for Vladdy and for Gus. At the end of the day, I'm trying to spark us. I'm trying to find a way. I'm trying to do something that maybe gives us that edge tonight.
So there he is on the conversations with the guys about not being in the lineup. It was followed up by one of the members of the media on, ask Arniel what he's looking for more from those players to maybe get them back in and help the team.
When you talk about that, whether it's penalty kill or power play, there's factors that happen. One, start with the puck. Start with the puck off those face-offs. To me, then it's the battles. It's 5 against 4. We have to have numbers. We have to compete. We have to be heavier on pucks. If it ends up being entries, execute it. Get in on the first time. Don't get it where it gets turned over and we got to go back and do it again, and using half your energy to get set. And then after that, our mindset is attack. I mean, it's how often we attack the net. The attack breaks down the penalty killers, gets them out of position. Hopefully that gives you somebody that's wide open for a quality look. So there's a few different things that you try to be on with all those, and recently it seems like if it's 5 things we're saying we need to be really good at, maybe we're not hitting on 5, we're hitting on 3, or, and if you're having a good night, even going back to the game against Edmonton, we had a fantastic night against them on attacks and opportunities and chances, and their goaltender was really good, and we also allowed them to see pucks, and at the end of the day, that mindset is when we're feeling it and we're attacking, that helps us a lot.
All right, so there's talking about some of the veterans that are out of the lineup, but there is a rookie in the lineup in game number 1 tonight for Danny Zhilkin. Scott Arnie was asked on what advice he has for Danny going into his first career NHL game.
I think that everybody can look back. They were playing when they played their first games and when they got their first opportunity. Everybody's excited for him. But with Danny, it's kind of we've talked about going out and just do what he does, in the sense of he's a good skater. He's down there he's been good on face-offs. I think that his awareness, he's going to be playing against, he may end up out in the ice against a couple of really, really good centermen that he's going to have to recognize that he has to be on the right side of people. But that's the stuff that's kind of earned him this opportunity, is that he's been doing those things. So really it's just, I try not to say much to him. Just go play, do what you do best. Obviously we got things, some video that the other coaches will go through to show them, whether that's PK or whether it's just reminders on our coverage, or some of the things that we do here, although Manitoba does a lot of exactly what we do. So hopefully I just kind of stay out of his way and let him go play.
All right, there's Coach Arneal. We'll get to more of this coming up with Brandon Rewucki, as well as looking ahead post now into the second half of the season on some potential player moves and Jet names that have been percolating on a few of the trade boards around the league. I do want to thank our friends at Princess Auto for their wonderful support of WST. We appreciate it greatly. Princess Auto, synonymous with Winnipeg, and does so much in our community, not just with our sports teams. Of course, Princess Auto, headquartered and founded right here in Winnipeg, and now serving Canadians coast to coast. With the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or get some new things going for 2026. Waiting for you at Princess Auto. You can pop by and see him in person, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, Brandon as well. Or you can shop online and get those ideas flowing 24/7, 365 online at princessauto.com. I know the Derminator and our friends at Chud's Power Sports are geeked for January and winter. It is the new year, and why not start the year with some adventure? Deep snow and a fresh opportunity to power into the new year with unforgettable adventures on the trails, lake ice, and open roads. January is the season of savings at Chud's Power Sports. And some of the must-haves include ATVs, side-by-sides, personal transport, commercial XTVs, not to mention the top brands Argo, Arctic Cat, Polaris, Sasquatch, Evolution, Roxor, and Suzuki. And for those of you that enjoy getting out onto the ice and putting a line in the water, you can stay warm on the ice or plan your next getaway with comfort and confidence all winter long with the latest lines of Forest River Aurora RVs and Forest River Grey Wolf fish houses for the upcoming ice fishing season. So many great deals at Chud's Power Sports. Pop by and see them up in Gimli, the corner of Highway 8 and 231, Manitoba's undisputed power sports superstore. Check them out online for all the great deals and everything they've got waiting for you in Gimli at chudspowersports.com. And don't forget, TrueNorthParts.com with winter-ready gear and unbelievable start of the year deals over at our friends at Chud's Power Sports. And hey, it is gorgeous outside today. You're probably not going to be breaking down or stuck on the side of the road, but we'd be naive not to know that we're going to get the teeth of this Winnipeg winter over the course of the next few months. Is your car, and more importantly, your battery, ready to go? Well, if you're wondering that question, head on over to Manitoba's local battery experts, Manitoba Battery, on Logan Avenue or Dovercourt Drive. Dottie and his wonderful staff will be more than happy to give you a free battery test. And if you do need a new battery, you'll get the perfect one for your car at the best price in town, period. Because Manitoba Battery has Winnipeg's lowest battery prices for literally everything, and the best customer service to go along with it. Stop wasting your time at the big box stores and shop local. Get the best deals in town with the best service at Manitoba Battery, 2 Winnipeg locations, citywide delivery available. You can also shop online at manitobabattery.com. All right, coming up a little later on, we will get to a Chud's Power Sports Power Poll for the National Hockey League. We will get to a little bit more of what Kevin Cheveldayoff had to say, not in the first presser, but his conversation with Sarah Orlesky. And we will talk a little curling out in Steinbach as the Grand Slam Players Championship is here in Manitoba for the first time in a long time. But let's get back to the Jets ahead of tonight's Jets-Oilers tilt with the host of Skates and Plates, Brandon Rewucki. Rue, what's up, buddy? How are you? Hope the rest of the holidays and your New Year's were great.
Yeah, doing good. Same to you. Same to all the listeners as well. Yeah, I like how you said there's half a season to go. Super cool. Could we get one more half of this? Although I don't know if you saw that. I don't know how much of a soccer fan you are, but there might be a tonic to the Jets' woes. Are you familiar with Jose Mourinho?
I am familiar with Mourinho, yes.
So he coaches Benfica in Portugal now. They just lost a big game. And he's let his players know that they are, and the media know that the players will be sleeping at the stadium for the next week. And I think he said, I hope they get as much sleep as I will, which is 0, because I'm thinking about how to fix this awful mess. So I know everybody's got ideas right now. I'm just saying, maybe Arniel cracks the whip a bit, and some of the guys got to go to the wives and the significant others and be like, can't help out at home. I'm camped in at the Life Center until
it's like a road trip. It's like a road trip without ever getting on the plane. Get the cots out in the club lounge or whatever, and a big team sleepover for the next week. That is actually hilarious. That Mourinho, such a character. Not shy on confidence either, I must say.
The special one. Yeah, when you call yourself the special one, you kind of get a sense into his mindset there. But I thought that was pretty funny. So I'm open to anything right now.
We can get into the big picture in a minute. It goes without saying. We talk weekly on this program. You're doing a great job covering all this over on Skates and Plates as well. It's just gone from bad to worse. Our conversations about 3 weeks ago was that if a turnaround doesn't start now, this season is going to be lost. They haven't won since we had that conversation. It's 10 in a row going into tonight. And, listen, I think, some fans are maybe still holding out a little bit of hope. I'm sort of at peace with, what this season is this year, and it's not going to be the one that we'd hoped for at the beginning of the year. But with that comes a lot of interesting conversations, some intrigue about how they move forward and what will be best for the team beyond this season that, I don't believe is going to end up in the playoffs. But first off, let's get to tonight. Because as I said, the one thing I will give them credit for, this team has not quit. It's not like they're not showing up for games and they're being embarrassed. They're kind of skating in quicksand at times. And no matter what happens, it seems like they're the NHL's version of Murphy's Law. Yeah. And it's Groundhog Day over and over again, where what can go wrong will go wrong, and it ends up on the other side. Listen, I know it happened as a result of a really unfortunate incident with Hayden Fleury, but it did give this team an opportunity to make some sort of a roster move. And instead of just going and calling up another defenseman to be there, they went a different route and called up a young player that has, amongst his peers with the Manitoba Moose, earned an opportunity to come up into the and I think it's sort of a message to the Lamberts, the Barlows, the Jaegers, all those players there, that they're, with what's happening in Winnipeg moving forward, there's going to be trades. The focus is going to shift. Hopefully that'll be a good thing at the Moose level. But just tonight, we just talked about it with Jason Strudwick. A young, excited player coming over the boards tonight, playing his first NHL game. I don't know whether that's going to change anything about what happens on the ice, but I can tell you that for a team that probably needs a little bit of sunshine with this dark cloud that seems to be following them everywhere they go, that I really like the move. I'm excited for Danny, and I'm more excited to watch this hockey game tonight, knowing that, a young man that sort of earned his way to the National Hockey League is going to get a chance to do that, even on a team that's struggling the way the Winnipeg Jets are. Yeah.
The only problem I have with the move is it didn't happen a month sooner, and didn't come with a few other guys making the jump, right? Because I totally agree that we all know there's no salvation answers with the players on the Moose right now. I.e., you're not calling up like a Kyle Connor like they did a few years ago, or name any other club with a top prospect marinating down there. But at the very least, it's an injection of speed and energy, which this team just so desperately needs. And maybe even a bit of positivity mixed in too, right? Because even the older guys are jacked up to see a young guy make his debut. So I think it's well overdue. I'm actually glad it was Zhilkin too, in a way too, over some of the other guys.
Me too.
Even though point wise he isn't lighting up the AHL, but he actually had a pretty good camp, I thought. And by all accounts, he's acquitted himself very nicely down there. And it's a bit of a wake-up call for everyone, right? So both on the Moose and with some members of the Winnipeg Jets. So they just need this team. This franchise was just so mired in inactivity. They just need something new. And then maybe this is the spark that does that. He's not going to score 2 or 3 goals tonight, but I'm just intrigued to see what level of impact that has on the rest of the team. And I mean, wherever you fall, whether it's team tank or team try to make a run, it'd be nice to win one. There's plenty of opportunities to win and lose games coming up here, but you don't want to be embarrassed with 12, 13, however, right? You want to end a lengthy losing streak.
Double digits is enough. It's more than enough. Get it down, win. And I just think for everyone, I will put on my glass half full, but it's not full. It is just like there's a little bit in the cup. But you know what I'm saying. If this was ever going to happen, this season might be the one for it to happen. I really think that the Olympic break is going to maybe make this a little less painful, in that, you sort of have a big major delineation between the two halves, if you will, of the second half of the season. And listen, I'm with you. I mean, I would have loved to have seen somebody be put on waivers and bring a couple guys up. I think it's overdue. But as I talked about after hearing Kevin Cheveldayoffs speak on Monday, I look at January as I think that while they're not saying everything outwardly, they're not dumb. They know exactly where they're at, and it's not happening this year. And to me, I think now the job of Chevy, his staff, particularly his scouting staff, and it's not lost on me that the number one thing they're doing right now is scouting meetings. I mean, they need to try to figure out players in situations that might be able to come in subsequent moves that can be a part of not just filling out the roster for the rest of the season, but that can come in and contribute next year and put them in a better situation. And I mean, I don't think there's any value for Nyquist, Tanner Pearson. Taves is an interesting situation because I think he actually has been better. I thought he looked good against Vegas, and I mean the recent games. But I guess the point I'm saying is that I think this month of January, I mean, you want to get a couple wins and try and just move on from this. But to me, it's an opportunity to hopefully resuscitate a little bit of trade value for some players that, to be honest, I don't think would be on the team right now if there was any trade value over the course of the past month. And that's why that they are in the situation that they are. But I put it this way, I guess I'm not surprised that now people are talking about the Jets being a team that is going to be moving assets. I mean, it goes without saying. But it was pretty funny looking at CJ's trade list, which I'm sure you saw, talking about, and I brought this up yesterday on the program with Ken. I mean, I kind of think that Logan Stanley is actually going to be a piece that is going to have some interest. And you can say all you want about Stan's time. I mean, the fact that he's scoring the way that he has, I think NHL GM saw him punch Brady Tkachuk in the face on the weekend, and I don't think that's going to hurt his trade value.
Does that jump you up around? And
I did chuckle. I mean, CJ said that he could be looking at $25 million in the offseason. Now, I don't know who's going to give him that, but put it this way. Any opportunity I get to go on other spots when people ask me about there, I'm going to be pumping up Stan's tires so much to try to get this going. But listen, I mean, a big guy that can be physical, that has scored a little bit, I mean, that is something that will have value. I was not expecting Luke Schen's name to be in the top 10 of one of those lists. And I guess the job right now is to try to make the most of a bad situation through this month going into the trade deadline. And at the same time, Brandon, I mean, this is going to be something that comes out publicly, but if I'm Cheveldayoff, I go in, and this is maybe part of the Zhilkin move, is that Danny's been the best of this group. He's the one that's earned this spot. There is going to be more opportunity as we make moves later on in this season. And right now, for every one of you guys, your first round picks and all that, it's not just going to be handed to you. Now is a time at the AHL level to show that you should be the next man up. And hopefully that can get a little bit more from a group of younger players that, haven't really been where I think they've wanted them to be at this point this season. But do you sort of see that too? I mean, two real halves of the second half of the season where it's going to be more of the same for the most part, barring injuries, up until the Olympic break. And coming out of the Olympic break, we could be seeing trades at that point, if there's no takers, moving on from a couple players and seeing a very different group playing in the last 20 games of the season, to try to get spots for next year and work ahead to next season.
I mean, that's how it's going to be when you're dead last in the NHL, right? Like, any illusions of the playoffs, like, look, the Jets, if they win 30 of their last 41 games, that only gets them to 95 points. So it's not even a guarantee that gets you in. And that's basically playing at the clip Colorado did in the first half of the season. It's not happening. So yes, while maybe I do think, not maybe, the GM should have been, the message should have been delivered much more cleaner and I think more efficiently. It needs to, every move that is done now needs to be done with an eye towards how do the Winnipeg Jets become a better team next season? How does this help us next year, 2 years, 3 years from now? So I totally agree in that lens, right? And I think, look, they've been given an opportunity here. It's obviously not the one they had hoped for and one that most Jets fans maybe had wanted before the year, but when you're, it's kind of the same way if it's an inverse, right? Like if you're a team that has kind of come out of nowhere and you're in the top 3 in the NHL, you all of a sudden you find yourself at an opportunity to make noise and maybe you get a little aggressive when it comes to the trade deadline and bringing people in to help your team. The Jets have an opportunity now, a really rare one, to pick in the top 3 of the draft this year. Like that is immeasurable in terms of the potential impact it can have for an organization. I mean, just watch not that there is one of them in this year's draft, but like watch what Celebrini's doing in San Jose right now, Matt Schaefer with the New York Islanders. Like there is that level of impact found at the top of the draft, and the Jets could be positioned to do so. So I'm fascinated to see how they handle this. I think Logan Stanley is the quintessential sell high candidate, and they've gotten a lot of value out of him, to be honest, as a first-round pick who spent 10 years in the organization. Like, I know he didn't fulfill the top 4 potential they had hoped for when they drafted him, but they've gotten a lot of track record out of him playing games for the Winnipeg Jets, and I think cashing out now would be a really shrewd move by management. I mean, yeah, what you can get for the Schens and the Nyquists and some of the other depth pieces on this team, it's not going to be, here we go, now we've got assets to make moves for a blockbuster. But this team bemoaned the lack of tickets they had at the lottery table, right? How it's tough to bring prospects in and this and that because we've hunted and we've made moves to win now and it hasn't worked out. You have the opportunity here to replenish a bunch of that and potentially not even hurt your team all that much moving forward. You know what I mean? Like nobody's saying sell Perfetti, sell Velarde, right? Like everything to the future here, but they can ship off some depth pieces. Maybe Dylan DeMello was in that mix too, and pick up some decent draft capital. And then you give opportunity to some of these young guys to know what they're going to be next year, right? Because that's a big part of this equation too is, hey, if we can fill some of these roles internally, that's a massive win for a team that struggles to acquire external talent. So that's got to be the mandate moving forward here. Is that going to happen? I don't know. I can't say for certainty. I hope it does because I do think this is a pretty rare opportunity that the Jets should take big time advantage of and reposition themselves for potentially a much, much better season next year.
Here's what Johnson had written on the Athletic, his trade board about Stan. The Jets have invested nearly a decade in Stanley's development and seen him blossom with the surge in scoring to go with the stout physical play you'd expect from a 6'7" defenseman. Unafraid to drop his gloves to defend teammates and with a reach that's basically unmatched across the league, Stanley's in a position to cash in this summer with a contract that could be worth $25 million or more. That leaves the Jets with a decision to make. Do they want to be the team offering that deal? Or is it time to cash in on their investment by putting him on the trade market? You'd agree with me. The option is the latter on that. And to be honest, I agree. He's definitely going to earn a raise and he'll be making a lot more than the 1.5 that he's making right now. It's still a lot. Like, I can't see a scenario that Stanley, if this team is going to take a step forward next year, is a top 4 defenseman.
Yeah.
I mean, for this team. I mean, he's a left side. I mean, he's not playing ahead of Sandberg. He's not playing ahead of Josh Morrissey. So to me, it's relatively easy. And for all the heat that the organization has taken, for the patience that they've had with Stan and why they've kept him around and all that, I'll tell you what, if he can, continue to play pretty well, and be in a situation that, for him, I think it would be great too, to go to a contender, to not have some of the baggage that maybe he has in the Winnipeg market from the expectations that came with where he was picked and all of that. And to be honest, like, let's face it, Brandon, we talk about what teams are looking for in and around the deadline going into a playoffs. He does have playoff experience. He's big. He's got a huge reach. Doesn't mind mixing it up when needed to, and has had an offensive surge this year that would make the time right now better than any other time before. So, I mean, to me, for a team that really does need to recoup some of the assets that they've been given up, like in the Shen trade and the Tanev trade before, to me, Logan Stanley is at the top of that list. And, I brought it up to Ken yesterday. It's in the Athletic this morning on it. This is a name that I think is going to be very much talked about, as the Jets, continue to be where they are in the standings as we get closer to the time when the deck chairs get shuffled around the league.
Yeah, and I mean, Luke Shen, we're all well aware, guarded a second-round pick at last year's deadline. The teams they'll pay and they'll, in a lot of cases, overpay for big, strong physical defensemen. It's how the NHL has always operated at the deadline. So the Jets will get a good haul for him. All due respect, $25 million is an astonishing number for a guy that I think is just a third pair defenseman. That's just a number the Jets cannot entertain.
That's not AAV, by the way.
Okay, all right. Well, in that case,
I think they're assuming on some term. And again, for his part, he's looking at an opportunity, obviously to cash in and, really take himself to a whole nother level. I'm not sure that there's the possibility of, some sort of a sign and trade. But the difference of a Stanley as opposed to a Shen is I think teams will look at Stan and there could be a different sort of team that's interested in him. Mm-hmm. A team Like, I was thinking about the Sharks today. They had Reeves out there battling with Olivier the other day, and, he's got sort of his role, but this team is moving forward. I mean, they're not going to be in a position to have a Ryan Reeves on the team anymore. But a 27-year-old Logan Stanley going to a team like that has some cap space, teams could be looking at him not only as a guy that, can maybe help us if we're able to make the playoffs, or if we are a playoff team. Presumably teams looking to him would be playoff teams, but San Jose is there right now. But also the opportunity to re-sign that player and keep him around and have him part of, your core and, probably the bottom half of your defense pairing, doing something that a lot of teams really feel important for, for the foreseeable future.
Yep. And maybe whoever Chevy's talking to on the phone just mentions that he's watching the YouTube video of Stanley beating Carey Price for the second time in the same playoffs. And sorry, a little bit busy here. Just watching Big Stan put a couple past Vezina winning trophy netminder. You want to talk business? So again, there's and even I mentioned Dylan DeMello as well. He hasn't had a very good year by his standards. I think he'd be the first to admit that. But again, what do teams going on to deep playoff runs look for at the deadline? They look for defensive depth, and especially on the right side, and with how many minutes he plays.
Let me ask you that, because I don't know. I hit this with Ken yesterday, because this is the other guy. I was wondering, what do you think a market would be for Dylan DeMello? He's got 2 years left on his deal. He's on the other side of 30. He's just below $5 million. Call it $5 million AAV, which is not a number that can't be fit into cap.
Yeah.
I mean, I am of the opinion that moving forward, and listen, I know Dylan has struggled at times. He's had a few good games too. The numbers seem to be good, but I think the Jets are doing almost a disservice to Josh Morrissey at not putting him together with a player that brings more than DeMello does right now. And then you add in some of the mistakes that he's made this year. And I mean, it is like, if put it this way, I would be very much open to a move of DeMello if there was the market for it. I'm just not too sure what that would be. But you think that there might be some takers for a guy like DeMello in his position?
For sure. Again, you can go through I know he's not nowhere near as big as nasty as some of the other defensemen that we see get moved for big prices. I think of Ben Sherrod a few years ago to Florida, who got a first and I think a third too.
That's crazy.
But it goes to show. Not that it's the correct way to do it, but GMs always when they talk about valuing and looking for defensemen, right or left shot is one of the things they look at. Dylan DeMello as a right shot D holds some value there. And then how many minutes they play. Like that it's those two things that can sway opinion in a big way. And the fact that he's played well over 20 minutes a night for a few years on the top pair, there's no way teams wouldn't look at him as a guy that could for sure be a massive improvement on the third pair. I still think there's a team or two out there that might look at him and say, could he help our second pair on the right side? A team that maybe is a little left shot heavy. So I think a second round pick is probably the starting point, in all honesty, even with the bad year that he's had, just because of what I mentioned there. So while you would like to creep that up into the first round, you're still getting some assets back. I think, like you said there, more importantly, truly opening up a spot beside Josh Morrissey, and then maybe that's where you give a guy like Salamonson a 20-game run at the end of the year, where to an extent you throw him into the deep end, right? And again, if he fills it, great. If not, well, guess what? We know next year he's ready to go on the third pair. We need to be a bit aggressive in terms of finding somebody to fit with Josh on the top pair.
Yeah, listen, and I'm not, putting the cart ahead of the horse and saying Elias is going to be that guy that's playing with Morrissey night in, night out next year. I mean, he may need to grow into that spot, and I'll tell you what, I sure as heck in a season like this would be here to see them try it for a dozen games in the second half of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, those are those really are the options that the team has. He should be playing, and then a group of, a couple players of the Zhilkin, of the Parker Ford, Chibrikov, Lambert, like Barlow and Yeager, I don't think are really in that group as of yet, but maybe if they can, really get going over the course of this next month, maybe they're in that spot. And then if anything, these young guys get experience. For the people in the organization think, oh, that takes away your chance to win. Well, guess what? That's just fine right now. Because again, they were that carrot of a top pick as well. Like, as much as it sucks right now to be having these conversations and no one thought that they would be, with that adversity comes opportunity. And as much as we didn't really hear it openly and honestly, I thought from Chevy on Monday, I kind of think that they are there internally. And I expect over the course of the next month plus, we're going to be seeing some of those moves that will indicate that they're sort of on the same page as the conversation we're having right now.
I would hope so, Huss. I mean, because I know we have to jump here, but I mean, my takeaway was just a staggering amount of failing to put your pulse on where this team was at was kind of my takeaway from that press conference. So yes, GMs across the league, and especially Chevy, will hold their cards close to the vest, but it's impossible to ignore, right? You don't lose 10 games in a row. You don't win 3 of your last 20 some odd games without coming to the realization that it's not going to go for this group of players this year.
They're not dumb. I mean, they're there. It's just, I mean, I think that the feeling from, and whether that's Chevy, whether that's Mark, I mean, going into a January, we're at home all time, like before you even play the first game of that homestand, to basically throw up the white flag on the season, I think was something that they weren't willing to do. But as I say, we're going to talk to Cheveldayoff in and around the deadline, I would imagine. And mark my words, I think we're going to see, a complete 180. And I think much of what we've seen happening will indicate that, as much as we maybe didn't get the plan rolled right out in front of us on Monday. By the way, lots of good comments on your S&P show after that. Certainly gave a lot of people lots to talk about. Very well done. You have a great one, man. Enjoy these games over the course of the weekend, and we'll catch up next week.
You too, guys. We'll talk soon. Have a good one.
Right on. We're going to go from one sheet to another. Talk a little curling for a minute. We will get to those Kevin Cheveldayoff quotes from the Sarah Orlesky interview coming up before the end of the program. We promised that yesterday, and we had so much going on. We will do that. Of course, we hit the clean line lines earlier today on the program. Danny Zhilkin in, fourth line center tonight. Gus and Vlad out. Cole Koepke in tonight. Of course, follow Winnipeg Sports Talk social media accounts and the show every Winnipeg Jet game day for the latest lines. Brought to you by Clean Line, Winnipeg's leading residential and commercial plumbing, heating, and electrical company. Your one-stop shop with over 40 years of service, including 24/7 emergency services. Write the number down, 204-500-2001. Much like Captain Adam Lowry as the Jets back, Clean Line has yours 24/7, 365. Check them out online at cleanline.ca. Not going to the game tonight? Next best place to be is your local Boston Pizza. Man, there's some great sports coming up. We got a busy weekend for the Jets, lots of hockey on, and of course the wild card playoffs in the National Football League. All the games will be on at your local BP Lounge with sound, great prizes to win during primetime BP playoff games. And what you really come there for, ice cold schooners, world famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and more. Staying at home tonight, but still want the great taste of BP? Order online at bostonpizza.com. Still some great deals throughout the week as the New Year's sales post-Boxing Day continues at Royal Sports. Royal Sports is the sports superstore in Winnipeg and Manitoba for over 50 years. Great deals on hockey equipment, sticks, and more. Snowboards, as snowboard season is here. And of course, for you NFL fans, the best in NFL merchandise with all the teams that maybe you're going to jump on a bandwagon for as we get into the wild card weekend and the playoffs. Blue Jays and Major League Baseball, the best in the National Hockey League, and so much more, all waiting for you at Royal Sports. Pop by and see them, 750 Pembina Highway, or check them out online at Royal Sports Winnipeg on Instagram for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. All right, before we bring in John Cullen, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right. Big curling event. And it has been a while since we've had the world's best here in Manitoba. But the Grand Slam of curling is in Steinbach at the beautiful new rink out in Steinbach. And our guy, John Cullen on curling himself, joins us. You can check him doing color for the matches out there on the Grand Slam channel. Joining us now. John, welcome to Manitoba. It's great to have you here in our neck of the woods.
Thank you, my friend. Yeah, great to be here. Always great to be on WST, and I feel like being just a stone's throw away from you in Steinbach, I feel closer to you now than I ever have been before, which is really nice.
Dude, I'm going to try and get out there and see you even closer.
Yeah, you should.
This event center has drawn rave reviews. Home of the Steinbach Pistons. Steinbach itself, one of the fastest growing communities in the country. What has been your first look, if you will, at this home of the Grand Slam of curling and the addition to our community? How have you liked the facility and the event before we talk about what's happening on the ice?
Beautiful rink here, Huss. I had heard nothing but good things before we got here. I think it's pretty much brand new. I want to say it was finished in 2023 maybe, or even 2024 last year. I guess that's 2 years ago now, but I don't think it's very old. And yeah, it's phenomenal. We're loving it here. I'm in the broadcast booth right now, or one of them. They've got a whole broadcast booth row, which has been really comfortable for us up here. And it's just amazing, like beautiful facilities. There's a really nice restaurant on the ground floor that's been absolutely packed because people buy their weekly passes and then they just hang around the rink in between games. Facility's amazing. Treatment here has been top notch. And added bonus for the curlers, the Steinbach Curling Club is also attached to the rink. It's in like the same parking lot. So the curlers here only play one game a day. So usually they like to go out and practice as well. There's a good look at them setting up the ice there earlier this week. But it's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed the rink here. It's one of the nicest rinks we've ever been in, I think.
I would imagine that the good people of Steinbach are pretty excited about it. They've been getting some butts in the seats and a good buzz around the event early on before things really get going on the weekend.
Absolutely. This has been easily the best attended early week that we've had all year. I've heard we're on track for this to be the best selling Grand Slam of the year. I think there are still some tickets left for the weekend at gsoctickets.com, but I don't think it's too many. So if you're watching this and you were debating about, you live in Winnipeg, you're debating about making the drive down, I would get on those tickets shortly because, I think the weekend is going to be rammed in here. And it's been amazing. Like, honestly, a lot of times in the early week, and we start at 8 a.m., so you don't always see fans in the stands at 8 a.m., and that has not been the case here. It's been basically every draw has been very, very well attended. It's been awesome.
Now, I will tell you, I mean, working with our friends and sponsors at Princess Auto, I had the opportunity, was it 2-3 years ago, to go out and do the show from the players for a few days when it was at the Matinee Center, whatever it's called, Ryerson, the TMU, the old Maple Leaf Gardens. And I had such a good time. And, and as someone that, that follows curling, but usually it's more, okay, it's the Brier and it's the top Canadian men's teams. And it's, okay, it's the Scotties and it's the top Canadian women's teams. There were two things that were amazing. First of all, you had both the best men's and the best women's teams. And for those of us that are Canadians, and we could tell you everything about Carey Anderson and Jen Jones and Caitlin Laws and Mike McEwen, it was a complete eye-opener just how good the rest of the world is right now. And I mean, give people a little bit of an idea about what's waiting for them there in this competition at one of the premier events of the Grand Slam of curling all year long.
Yeah, it's the premier event. It's the Players' Championship. It's the longest running championship on the Grand Slam circuit. And it's a little different. Most slams are 16 teams, and this slam is 12. So, and it's what have you done for me lately? So the world rankings, they kind of go year over year, and what you did last year contributes to your points this year. And so that helps you get into slams at the start of the year. But the Players' Championship, it's always the last event on the calendar, and it's strictly based on year-to-date standings. So it's just what have you done since the season started in August or early September. And so you're literally getting like not just the 12 best teams, but like the 12 hottest teams, the ones that are playing really, really well. And then, yeah, to speak to your point about the international teams, it is a very international flavor in the field here. There's 24 teams here. Only 5 of them are Canadian. So that gives you a sense. We've got teams from everywhere: Scotland, China, Japan, South Korea, Sweden, Switzerland, USA. There's tons of teams here from all over the world, the best teams. And also, if you're a big curling fan, one of the benefits of coming out right now, this is the last major tournament before the Olympics. So this is sort of the last prep that a lot of these teams are doing, their last tournament. And so, yeah, if you come down here, you're almost getting like an Olympics preview, because pretty much every team that's in the Olympics, or at least all the top teams, the favorites to win on both the men's and women's side, they're all here. So you're almost getting to see the Olympic field about a month before it's going to happen for real in Italy. So yeah, it's a really exciting week for us. And I think it's been a super exciting week for the fans too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at the men's side, and I mean, you got to go. Listen, Matty Dunstone's 1-1. He had a real rough game yesterday. But I mean, the top 7 teams aren't Canadian. I mean, it's Rewucki, it's Returnas, it's Schwaller, White, the Schuster rink from the States.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Canadians have a little bit of work to do to catch up. And, I watched a ton of the women's when I was at that event before. And listen, I will always ride or die with Carey Anderson, Manitoba, zone. But I got to tell you, I loved the Korean team. They were so much fun to watch. The Japanese too. And again, I look over at the women's side, and it's the Koreans, it's Hasselberg, Tirizoni, Paterson. We don't usually see losses beside Rachel Holman's name, and she's got one so far. So, I mean, the competition of this event is as good as you're going to get anywhere all year long, and that might even include the Olympic Games.
It definitely includes the Olympics. Yeah. I mean, everyone knows the format of the Olympics is one team per country. So yeah, you're not there's some teams that are in the Olympics that are not here because they're not good enough. Like I said, it's the top 12 teams in the world. So yeah, you got teams on both sides of the draw, like the Norwegian men, the Czechia men. Pardon me, they're not here. And so you are getting, this is a better tournament than the Olympics will be, just in terms of on paper rankings. Obviously, it doesn't necessarily mean as much. Of course, no one's going to pretend that the Olympics are not the big dance. But yeah, it is. It's getting more and more international all the time. Saskatoon was the first time ever. That was our last slam, the Hearing Life Canadian Open in Saskatoon a few weeks ago. First time ever, no Canadian teams in the semifinals. It's never happened before. And that was on both the men's and women's sides of the draw. Kind of looks like we might be heading for no men's teams in the playoffs here, which has also never happened before. But hopefully not. Matty D is here. He's got a chance. He's got the hometown crowd behind him. So we're pulling for him. But the world is here, man. It's a different place than it was 20 years ago, for sure.
Yeah, as much as I like the Japanese team, I did not like that line score of that last game, 10-2 over Carey's squad. Fill people in. So I mean, like the preliminary games go through today and tomorrow. There's draws at 8:30, noon, 4, and 8. And then Saturday and Sunday, they start playing off. What do teams have to do to even be alive going into Saturday?
Yeah, so it's a 6-team playoff. So usually we're an 8-team playoff, and then it's just straight down. Everybody plays a single elimination tournament from the quarterfinals to the finals. This one's a little different because it's only 12 teams. Only 6 of them make the playoffs. So top 2 records will get a bye to the semifinal. The other 4 teams play off in the quarterfinal. Really, for this tournament, you play 5 round robin games. So 3 losses is usually the cutoff. You don't want to be at 3 losses. If you stay at 2, if you finish 3-2, there's a good chance you'll find yourself in at least a tiebreaker. So if you're a casual curling fan, you're kind of looking at the standings like you are right now, Huss. That's kind of the cutoff. As soon as you take your 3rd loss, you're in danger of being eliminated. And obviously, if you take your 4th, you're out for sure. So yeah, that's what the teams are fighting to get to that 3rd win. And usually that gets you at least a tiebreaker.
John Cullen is with us from the Grand Slam of Curling Players Championship out in Steinbach. Now, the most important question. And Steinbach, historically, I mean, it's loosened up a little bit, was a dry town for a long time.
I heard that.
Is there, I mean, this is a big curling event. We know curlers and their fans like to enjoy themselves. Is there some sort of a patch there? What's the social scene around the GSOC?
Yeah, I think we can describe this event as wet. Us, I believe we can say this event is not dry. It's very moist inside the Southeast Event Center. But yeah, we've got events going starting tonight and all weekend long. We do a thing called the Après Curl. And so that's the other thing about this facility. If you've never been before, it does have the rink. Like I said, it's got the curling club as well. But it's got a ton of attached facilities, and it actually has like a full-size gym, like a high school gym, like with a stage and everything like that. And so the next couple of nights after the night draw is Après Curl. So our own Pierce Clark will be playing music. I believe we're bringing in some local bands as well. So there's kind of like a patch scene like you would see at the Briar and the Scotties where, the games end around 10 p.m. You go have a couple drinks. Usually the curlers are hanging out there as well. And then Saturday is kind of our new sort of marquee event for Saturdays at the Slams. It's the Grand Slam of Karaoke. So I don't know how much you know about that, Huss, but
yes, okay. I've seen videos and stuff of this. You got to tell people about this.
Yeah.
I got to say, for a professional sport, curling's always been one you're able to connect with the players, but this event, it looks like one of the coolest things. Just tell people about this.
It's wild. So yeah, we've been doing it now for the last couple of years. I think I've talked about this on your show before, but the Slams got bought by the curling group a couple of years ago. And Nick Sulsky, the head of the curling group, when he first started to get interested in curling, he noticed that curlers love karaoke. And that's kind of just been like a low key thing that maybe a lot of fans wouldn't have known, but a lot of curlers would try to find a karaoke bar or a karaoke night when they got eliminated from a tournament. Or there's also some marquee tournaments in Japan. So of course, if you travel over there, you find your way to a karaoke night. Nick said, why don't we do that at all the Slams and get the curlers just to do karaoke for the fans? And so, yeah, it's been going. This will be our 10th one this weekend. It's on Saturday night after the night draw. So probably get started around 10 or 10:30 p.m. You can get tickets at the venue, at the Rock Shop. They're $10, and then you get in. And then you can also buy tickets at the door on Saturday night as well. And then, yeah, you never know which curlers you're going to see up there singing songs, making fools of themselves. There's a big championship belt. The winner also gets $2,500. So the curlers go pretty hard. Like, there's been some really elaborate costumes, dances, like they go all out. It's a real party, and it's kind of become one of the highlights of the Grand Slam of Curling calendar. As you said, great chance to meet the curlers. They're usually all there enjoying the festivities, get to see some of your favorite curlers, loosen up a little bit, sing, have a good time. It's really good. And I won't tell you who the defending champion is, but it might be someone who's on this call. So
no doubt. That's unreal. I can just imagine. I mean, I know a bunch of players, like guys like Ryan Fry, they're now like coaches. I can just see the coaches being like, listen, we need to focus on the damn game. Stop planning a freaking karaoke routine for Saturday night. This is real.
I'm sure those conversations happen. Yes, absolutely.
Folks, if you go to GSOC, is it .ca or .com?
GSOCtickets.com or just thegrandslamofcurling.com.
It is all there. Full schedule for the games today, tomorrow, as well as Saturday. And yeah, if you're going out there Saturday, I would suggest plan to stick around late, and maybe you'll see a certain WST guest go back to back.
Maybe. We'll see. It was me. I have to give credit. It was me and Tanner Horgan. He's on John Epping's team, one of the top 10 curling teams in the world. But yeah, we did Lincoln Parks in the end. He did the singing, I did the rapping, and people enjoyed it.
Dude, thanks so much for taking the time. It sounds like it's going to be a real great week and an awesome weekend coming up. If you are a curling fan, get out to Steinbach and get your tickets before they're gone. Great to hear about the awesome crowds for the best of the best as we get ready for the Olympic Games. John Cullen, have a great time here in the Manitoba and at the Grand Slam of Curling Players Cup. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks, Huss. Always a pleasure to be here. And yes, shout out to Manitoba for showing out. It's been a great week so far, and looking forward to the weekend.
At Cullen on Curling on X. And you can also find a link to the book that many of our listeners picked that up. We've got a lot of gret feedback on that one coming out of the holidays as well.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thank
so
you
much,
so much,
dude.
Appreciate it, bud. Take care.
All right, there is John Cullen. What a beauty he is, and yeah, this is going to be a great week. I mean, with the Jets off on Saturday, I'm going to try and make my way out and take it in. And I forgot about the GSOK, but I may have to take that in as well. Okay, listen, we've got to get to a why not question of the day. I want to get to some of this Kevin Cheveldayoff. We've got the Coolbet lines. We've lots to get to, but Remo, the words that you like to say more than any on this program, fire away.
We have a train to announce. Is that it? Yeah. Elliot Friedman on this one, Frank Cervelli as well. You know what? Sorry, Frank's got a really nicely formatted tweet that's easy to read. Hearing San Jose and Chicago have worked out a trade to San Jose, Laurent Brossoit, the goaltender, defenseman Nolan Allen, and a late-round pick to the Blackhawks, a fourth-round pick, the contract of D. Ryan Ellis, and one more piece. Come on, Frank. What, late-round pick? Be more specific here, Frank. I think Elliot had it. Elliot had it here. So I'll give Elliot the win. He's got the 2028 7th to San Jose.
The tweet off.
And, 2028 4th. So Laurent Brossoit was on waivers recently. Nobody picked him up. And I guess now because there was a trade, you can keep him in the AHL. Like, that's the thing with waivers. When you claim him, you got to keep him in the NHL. So San Jose's had some really great goaltending this year with Askarov. Nedeljkovic not as good. They're in the playoff hunt, Huss, and nice pickup for them if Brossoit can be healthy and regain the form that he showed. And yes, San Jose, they've got the first wild card. And Celebrini, you saw the highlight reel, assist last night on the winner, getting Hart Trophy consideration. He is third in points behind McDavid and McKinnon. I mean, it does fit the narrative of what best player on a team that squeaks into a playoffs. Like, who else does San Jose have? I haven't looked at the odds, but I should dial that up right now.
I'm going to throw this one for the why not question of the day out, considering we're talking about the Sharks. Like the Ducks have lost 7 in a row. They've really fallen. They were top of the Pacific for the first half of the season. They've fallen off. But listen, Phyllis, you might want to plug your ears for this one. Assuming the Jets don't make the playoffs, and listen, crazy things in sports happen. We know what happened with the Blues in 2019. But not including the Jets. And not including the Kings, who have been in the playoffs every year. But who of the teams that, unfortunately might take our spot, would you like to see in the playoffs? The Sharks, the Ducks, the Mammoth, the Blackhawks? Like, to me, those, maybe do a poll, Remo. Because I'm not putting it, we can't support the Blues or the Predators. That is just not right. They're big rivals in the division. And to me, if we're not including the Jets, we're not including Calgary, and we're not including Vancouver either. So of those 4 teams, Sharks, Ducks, Mammoth, Blackhawks, and I think all of them have. I mean, listen, San Jose and Anaheim both have really exciting young teams. The Blackhawks, I guess they'd like to be in that conversation. Obviously, they've got Connor Bedard. And I think Utah probably has, probably should be ahead of all 3 of those teams right now. But they're not. I think there'd be great excitement in Utah as well. So, yeah, not AutoCorp. Why not question of the day for our friends over at Waverly and McGillivray of the Sharks, Ducks, Mammoth, and Blackhawks? Who would you prefer to watch in the playoffs, knowing that if they're 8th, they're probably getting 4 quick games against the Colorado Avalanche and then booking tea times?
I was going to say, no love for the Kraken. They're 8-1-1. They've got the 3rd spot in the Pacific. The Ducks, they're
already in. Sorry, I was just talking about the teams that aren't in. Or the Sharks,
I guess Chicago's not in. Yeah,
spot.
The Ducks 1-7-2 in their last 10. They had such a great start, faltering here. Zegras showed them up the other day for that game, but yeah,
awesome.
Chicago just out, Utah just out. Yeah, I don't know who. Utah, it's funny. I hated the Coyotes, love the Mammoth. And I don't know if you saw yesterday, they did announce the Winter Classic returning outdoors, returning to a cold climate. It's going to be Utah hosting the Avalanche for the Winter Classic next year.
Okay, I'm in for that. That is odd. Did they say what the venue is?
Yes.
Is it one of like the Utah, like the University Stadium or BYU?
Yes.
Or BYU's in Provo, I think.
It is at the picturesque Rice-Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City. That is the University of Utah football stadium.
The Utes.
Yes.
Utah Utes. What a name.
Utah done a great job, and a lot of talk about the Olympics and the arena, how it is not built. And I was like, well, why would NHL ever work with the IOC anymore? Well, the Olympics are coming to Salt Lake, and Ryan Smith. That's why they went to Utah, because they want to work with him. He's going to have a world-class facility for the Olympics, and he's done a great job with the Mammoth. That's why to pull the plug so hard on Arizona, because they don't want to deal with Morello anymore. They're like, let's deal with Ryan Smith. He's a stand-up guy. He gets things done. Yes.
Morello's a bum. Ryan Smith, a great businessman, the sort of young blood that I think the NHL ownership needed. All right, well, anyways, that is cool. Okay, before we get to the Chud Sports Power Poll, I want to get to a few of these Chevy clips, because I think, as they say, I haven't heard these all, but I was following it from the game on a couple forums, and I think that, and maybe it was the environment doing it with Sarah. Chevy was a bit more comfortable, but a lot of people maybe miss this being at the game or so. This is a little bit more mid-season talk from the GM. First off, Chevy was asked about, what has gone wrong this season to have them where they are.
Well, I don't know that there's one singular thing that, really, really stands out. I think it's we're in this situation for a collective number of reasons. I think some of them are systemic and just, style, like how we, need to play to be successful and maybe not doing that as much on a regular basis. Certainly, again, you see guys go through ups and downs and through, slumps throughout, maybe a year. But collectively, there's several guys that have gone through extended periods of time here right now that has been really uncharacteristic, in their careers prior to that. So, again, there's lots of different things, and you can't blame any one thing. You get to this point by a variety of reasons, and you get out of this situation only by one way: getting back to the basics, getting back to your foundation, doing the things that make you successful, and really focusing at one game at a time.
All right, so there's Kevin Cheveldayoff. Now, here's a couple of the things that, were sort of, I rolled this out, and if you missed Tuesday's show, I know it's kind of put together on a YouTube video that a lot of people are watching and having comments for on the channel. But to me, you moving forward, acknowledging the situation, Chevy was asked about what his top priority is moving forward into the second half of the year.
coaches have to coach every day. They're with the players. They do that. There's a certain routine and preparation and cadence that goes into all those kind of things. It's very structured. There's meetings on the general manager side of it. There's lots of different things that are going on in the background. You try to stay as connected as you can with the group when they're struggling. Try to provide as much support as you can. Whether it's through conversations or through talking to maybe grabbing a player or whatever, and just little things like that. But behind the scenes, it's very busy for us. Obviously, the 40-game mark marks the time where you're starting your mid-season meetings, your whether it's planning meetings or foundational meetings for the draft. We started our pro meetings yesterday, and so we're going through that. And again, it's a regular occurrence, but these are things that at this point in time in the year you look at. Now, in our situation here, obviously the conversations maybe are a little bit different than than what they had been, certainly than what they were sitting here at 40 games last year. But you have to be prepared for everything in this league because, again, it is a very unpredictable league. Sports are very unpredictable as well, and you can plan and you can think about where you're going to be at a point in time. The reality is we are where we are.
Yeah, and I think it's key to note those pro scouting meetings. I mean, as we talked about before with Ken, I mean, these might be the most important pro scouting meetings this organization's had in the last 5-6 years. Because, they're looking at, and again, it's a difficult job. Who can they get to Winnipeg? Who can they potentially keep? Who's got term on their contract? Who might be? Anyone coming here right now can't be like, let's see if we can win a few more games this season. It has to be about being part of the solution moving forward. And, that pro scouting aspect, not just in the National Hockey League, but I think in the American Hockey League as well, of players that might be in situations that they could be moved, that could blossom into players, especially with not a lot of clear-cut NHL guys knocking on the door saying, I'm next. Certainly clear. Here's just one more, and this was something that I said that I would have liked to hear. Just the question about, is everything on the table moving forward for the Winnipeg Jets, considering their current spot in the standings and knowing what's at stake moving forward for not just this season but the future?
Well, I think, again, you discuss everything and you talk about it. I think there's realities, when people say, well, you're going to make a trade, sure, you'd look at it to see, but it's got to be something that if you're going to give up an asset, whatever kind of asset it is, it has to have a long-term fit and picture in our situation here. It's not something I think that, we have the luxury right now of saying, well, let's just go get a rental and, see how it works. We've spent a lot of draft picks over these years and would do it all over again. But the reality is there's a gap in our evolution or in the way we're there, because when you trade a pick, that's an opportunity cost that you pay for down the road. Well, we're down the road. We've and again, you're hopeful that you can keep in lockstep, with all these kind of things. The good thing is we got a real strong core, and again, my job is to try to build around it. What we did over the summer was try to do some different things, maybe to insulate our core. We'll see if this it can work in the second half here to pull themselves back into the situation.
All right, so there is Kevin Cheveldayoff in the conversation with Sarah Orlesky on Tuesday night. Let's get to the Chud Sports Power Poll, Reem. We've got a little bit of a shakeup. I've broken up that top three in the Central Division. Of course, all of our power polls on WST presented by Manitoba's Power Sports Superstore, Chud's Power Sports in Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 239. Get ready to dominate winter and start the year in adventure with Chud's Power Sports. Great deals right now on snow machines, things you'll need for ice fishing adventures and more. Or you can just start thinking about summer, thinking about getting rid of the snow with things like boats, outboards, RVs, motorcycles, dirt bikes, tractors. They've got it all at Chud's Power Sports in Gimli and online at chudspowersports.com. No surprise that the Colorado Avalanche are still on top, despite losing as many games in regulation in the last 2 that they played as they had all year long. 31, 4-7, still clearly the class of the league. But Remo, we've got a new number 2 team.
Yeah.
It's the Tampa Bay Lightning. Has not been a great run for Dallas or Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota, they lost 2 in a row. Big deal. Dallas lost 6 in a row. They won last night in Washington. Pretty impressive road win. But you look at what Tampa has done. They've won 8 in a row. They are now first place in the Atlantic, first place in the Eastern Conference, and are proving themselves to be very much a Stanley Cup contender, and of course got a head-to-head win against those Avalanche earlier this week. So they move up to number 2. And with the Dallas Stars losing 6 in a row, I've actually moved them to 4. Now, it speaks to just how strong the Central is that we've been having the top 3 teams all in the Central. Now it's still the top 3 of 4. But I have been really impressed with Minnesota. They've had a little blip going into tonight. They're going to be taking on the Red Hot Kraken, who, as Remo had mentioned, have won 8-1-1 in their last 10. But Minnesota at 3, Dallas at 4, and we will take the other team that is tied in points with the Tampa Bay Lightning. They have lost 1 more game, and that is the Carolina Hurricanes, who sit atop the Metropolitan Division. And I can tell you that no teams in the Pacific Division were even considered for this, including the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers, we'll be talking about them when we get to the playoffs. They still have a goal differential of just 0. There's not a single team in the Pacific Division with a positive goal differential, which is absolutely bizarre. And Vegas got that win against Winnipeg. They only have 2 in their last 10. So Pacific, not hot. Central remains the standard in the league. But welcome the Tampa Bay Lightning and to the 2 spot, and the Carolina Hurricanes to the 5 spot in our Chud's Power Sports Power Poll for our good friends at Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli. Check them out online at chudspowersports.com. All right, let's get to the Coolbet lines. Patty is in the air right now. But he will join myself, Jake and myself for sure. Pat will be on at some point tomorrow. Big episode of WST Winners tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Wild card weekend. We are going to have our favorite picks against the spread, money line, maybe even a few totals. We're going to put together a couple of combos, which will get boosted and put them in the combo cards and the exclusives. So if you want to get ready with us for NFL Wildcard Weekend, join us tomorrow live, 10 a.m. right here on WST for the Wildcard Weekend edition of NFL WST Winners with myself, Jake, and Pat. All right, busy night tonight in the league as we go over the Coolbet lines. Flames at Bruins. Calgary lost to Montreal last night. I like Boston tonight, only a -135 favorite. Pretty good number considering the matchup and the fact that Calgary played last night. The Hurricanes are home to the Ducks. Canes -222. Ducks can't find a win these days. Sounds familiar. The Red Wings are at home to the Canucks. Detroit's -154. Panthers and Habs in Montreal. Panthers are the slightest of favorites at -112. Montreal -104. Buffalo and the Rangers. Rangers still with only 5 home wins on the season. Buffalo had their 10-game win streak snapped, but Buffalo's a -123 favorite. Leafs are in Philly to take on the Flyers. Flyers are -122 faves. Pittsburgh's a slight favorite over the New Jersey Devils. Pittsburgh -114. Very interested to see what the Devils do tonight after that 9-0 humiliation at the hands of the Islanders earlier this week, when they outshot them 44-24 but lost 9-0. The Islanders, who seemingly everything was going in for them on Tuesday night, they're in Nashville to take on the Predators. The Preds are a favorite, -122. You get the Islanders a +103. I'll be on the Islanders tonight. We've got Ottawa and the Avalanche. Avalanche -263 faves. The Kraken, despite that 8-1-1 record in their last 10, +130 at home. I do like the Wild tonight at -154. Late game, Vegas back home after their road trip, minus 154 faves against the Blue Jackets, plus 130. And then there's the Jets and the Oilers. And it is kind of funny, Reem, like we've talked about this for the last month or so, despite the Jets losing streak where they're in the standings, it's not like they're going into these games as 2-1 underdogs. This game's basically a pick'em. Oilers a slight favorite at minus 112, Jets at minus 104. And I'll tell you what, I haven't been doing it. I'm not going to put it on any parlays, but I think tonight might be the night they finally break this streak and get a win. They certainly deserved a better fate against the Oilers when they played each other 2 weeks ago here.
That was one of their better games during this streak. As you mentioned, they outshot Edmonton, and it was Pickard who was making all the saves that night. He is in goal tonight. They do have Jari hurt. Ingram, he's had some rough games as well, and you look at the line, the third line that Strudwick was talking about, work in progress there. See how it goes tonight for the Jets. I've had some time at home. Last game, first one back after a road trip. You've had some time off. The excitement of having Danny Zhilkin, maybe it'll give them a jump in the lineup. Doesn't feel like same old here. Oh, look, I've been taking Connor Hellebuyck on the daily fantasy, and interesting to see them as, pretty close to a pick'em here. So could be the one. I think tonight or tomorrow, if not Sunday against New Jersey. One of the three, they'll get the win.
If you're looking for Jets on the goal scoring front, plus 133 for Kyle Connor, plus 190 for Mark Scheifele. Cole Perfetti, the drop-off after that. Gabe is plus 225. Then it goes all the way down to plus 370 for Cole Perfetti. Josh Morrissey, plus 570. Neil Pionk, plus 420. And, of course, Pionk and Morrissey look like they're going to start the game together, Rewo, on the blue line. I know there was a lot of talk about the power play and on the power play and up front with the guys coming in and out of the lineup, but a bit of a shake-up back on the blue line.
Curious if that creates more offense. Do we see something from Neil Pionk? And, yeah, they don't even have anyone other than those guys listed. Just tells you, what the Jets' scoring has been. If it's been anyone scoring, it's been Connor, been Scheifele, Velarde. Perfetti scored last game. Probably lean what Connor got it done late. Last game, Scheifele, I think he had 0 shots on goal. Maybe he bounces back with 1 here against the Oilers. So I'd probably lean Scheifele. Velarde is the low, the best odds of the 3. It's funny, those guys got on the ice. They were split up. They got on the ice for like 30 seconds on a shift change, and Connor scored. So I wonder if he goes back to them, if they do fall behind.
Thursday night super boost. Chambliss for Ole Miss, a passing touchdown, and McDavid an assist. It's boosted to plus 102. Yeah, Fiesta Bowl is tonight.
That's not the one with the Pop-Tart.
No, the Pop-Tart Bowl is done. The Cheez-Its Bowl is done. The Duke's Mayo Bowl also done.
They're all food?
We've got it's great new sponsors, and they're having some fun with those as well. But Miami, the U, 3.5-point favorite against Ole Miss today. I'm taking the dog. I'm going with Ole Miss.
This isn't the final, is it?
This is the semi.
Okay, I'm not up to date on the college.
Miami, Ole Miss beat Georgia. They're the last SEC team standing. And then tomorrow night is the Rose Bowl, I think.
Okay, and that's the other semifinal. All right, I'm still in
Oregon and Indiana.
I still think it's the BCS where they just pick the final, but we're way past that.
That's like a dozen years ago, probably.
Isn't it? Remember Vince Young, Reggie Bush? I was all in on that championship. That was one of the best ones.
Yeah, I think those were guys were maybe 07.
I remember watching it at Earl's Maine, going crazy. But my college, I watched the final. I mean, how do you not watch the final? I guess it is Jets tonight. There are a lot of games. If it's a close game, I'll flip to it. The last games weren't close in the other one, right? Or were they? I had it on at a party. It wasn't close.
No, the quarterfinal games. There was a couple of good ones.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong.
I'm just gonna look here.
Yeah, Oregon, Indiana tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm pumped for that one. I'm a big fan of this Indiana team, and I'm gonna need to cheer for Fernando Mendoza, Heisman Trophy winner, now, because I think there's a good chance he becomes the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders, and being called at number 1, and at that point I'll have to cease to like him. But yeah, last week it was I mean, all the big games happened in on it. There you have it. The Ole Miss Georgia game was a really good one.
Yeah, that was close.
Otherwise, though, Miami did a pretty darn good job of moving on. Indiana smashed Alabama. I loved seeing that. Alabama's worst playoff loss ever. Won by 34. So, the other game goes tomorrow night. But tonight, it's the Fiesta Bowl. I'm taking Ole Miss plus 3.5. Good stuff. Well, we got a game tonight, and then right back at it tomorrow. Again, tomorrow's WST game of the month. So if you're looking to go to the game, check out the Jets. Hopefully see a win. Join us. Go to winnipegjets.com/WST. Remo and I will be up there with the gang. Connor, Liz, I'm sure will be by. So we're looking forward to seeing many of our regulars at the game tomorrow night to kick off the new year. Hopefully it can be coming off a win tonight. Let's get this 10-game losing streak in the rearview mirror. And who better to do it against than the Edmonton Oilers? Should be a good one tonight. Thanks to John Cullen. Thanks to Brandon Rewucki and, of course, Jason Strudwick. Remo doing a great job behind the scenes. Check out the socials. Connor's all over the Jets beat from the arena. And, of course, he'll have post-game coverage after the game, which will be available. If you're watching KNR Live, it'll be up when it's done. If not, wake up with Connor and his take, along with, I believe, Liz tonight on the Winnipeg Jets post-game recap on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Perfect for your drive to work if you do commute in the morning. That is going to do it for us. Enjoy the game tonight, gang. Jets Oilers just after 7 p.m. We'll be back tomorrow for a packed Friday edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk. And, of course, a little NFL talk going into the weekend, marbles, and more. We will see you tomorrow on WST. Enjoy the game tonight, folks. Thanks again to the sponsors that make this show happen, and all of you for making us a part of your day. Have a good one.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.